Since 1983, FAME has helped business and education work for Maine. Contact the authority, the Finance Authority of Maine. You're watching Maine Biz Sunday, Maine's business news source.
Welcome back. We're continuing our Rapid Fire Sunday with Curtis Picard, Executive Director of the Maine Merchants Association, Jim DeMisa, CEO of Policy One Research, Steve Bone of the Maine Heritage Policy Center, and Merritt Carey, Coordinator for the Maine Businesses for Sustainability. I keep getting that wrong. I keep wanting to say social responsibility. I keep wanting to say social responsibility. So, anyway. All right. Next issue we're going to talk about is the Forbes list. Of course, we all know that we were put dead last on the Forbes list. And the question is, does that matter? And really, how much attention should we pay to all of this? And to set this up, I'm going to send it off to you, Jim, but to set this up, in the Maine Biz, last edition of Maine Biz, on the Reader's Comment, there was one entitled, Why My Business Didn't Come to Maine, and it was by Jay Foley. He's the president and CEO of Foley Industrial Engines in Worcester, Mass. And they were considering locating their business here for manufacturing and distributing diesel engines. And they would create 20 new jobs, plus some of the jobs they'd be moving up. He said, quote, but no matter how we ran the numbers, the costs were prohibitive. Literally, everything a company purchases or consumes costs more in Maine. Real estate taxes, payroll taxes, fuel, utilities, etc. The playing field is tilted sharply against a Maine-based firm. So, what do you think?
In terms of if we're paying too much attention, I think the answer is somewhat yes, somewhat no. And by that, here's what I mean. I think those types of lists, in particular the Forbes list, came out during a campaign season, so I do think it was used for that, and we paid a little bit too much attention to it. But perception is reality. In other words, that's what people start to know about Maine nationally. So I think on those kinds of things, it's important to do a few things. One, it's really important to recognize it and admit where your strengths are, but also where your weaknesses are, and then also start to incorporate other measures. We do have other good indicators like measures of growth, right. The Maine Innovation Index, that also get to tell some of the story.
Those aren't very sexy.
Right.
Forbes is sexy.
Exactly. Yeah, and what happens is a lot of times Forbes, in this case, is a composite index. So it's telling you one number, but you really, and me being a data person can appreciate this, but you really have to look beyond the index and get into the numbers themselves.
Okay. And me being a marketing person, I would say it was a train wreck. I mean, I think, as you, I mean, you said it. Perspective is reality, and so that's the word on the street. Maine's the worst place to do business. We know Maine's a tough place to sell new business to, and that doesn't help the case at all. And I don't think proactively we didn't do anything. The state didn't do anything to come back and say, look at all these great things we have. There was no positive response.
But it was an anemic response.
Right.
Curtis, I want to ask you, so how does this play on Main Street? How does that roll, does this have an effect on Main Street too?
It does,
it's
because
kind of
like Merritt was saying, it's the perception out there.
So it's not only marketing to people outside the state, but marketing to us.
Yeah. We were the last kid picked on the team.
Ouch.
And that hurt.
I
it hurt being 50th.
That hurt. Yeah. Ow, darn. What do you think?
Well, I mean, our organization's been banging this drum for years. I mean, it's not as though we suddenly fell from 25th to 50th. We've been bumbling along at 48, 46 for years, and now we've, no place to go but up, I guess.
Okay, but let me ask some questions. Like when you do look at the Forbes, and they break out by categories, that cost of business is a real big driver.
Regulatory is too.
That is too. And when you look at Massachusetts, the cost of businesses, they were 50th. They were the worst.
Yeah.
And yet they're ranked, what, 16th or 13th or something? And because those other business opportunities there, largely because of, what, skilled workforce and investment capital that's there. Are we ever going to be able to learn from them? I mean, even New Hampshire is 40th in terms of cost of business, but they were in the middle of the pack for overall ratings. I mean, how can that? What do we need to learn from that?
I think one of the things we need to learn is that this is a Northeast problem. It's not just a Maine problem. I mean, we can take care of certain things in the state of Maine, but we have to get more aggressive nationally as a region to be able to compete against California, the Southwest, the South, and globally. And we're not doing that. We don't have a plan to do that.
You look at what's happened in the South in the automotive industry. It's unbelievable. Alabama, 1995, they weren't building any cars in Alabama. They now build 500,000 cars a year down there. They've put $70 billion of investment into Alabama. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why weren't any of those car companies coming to Maine? Mercedes-Benz builds cars in Alabama. I mean, do they have a better workforce, more educated workforce than we do? I don't know. But for some reason, they're going down there and not coming here.
I've also heard people talk about that kind of in Maine, if we could strive for 25, if we could just get in the middle of the pack, because there's a good, especially when you start looking at all these different indicators, the spread sometimes is not too great between them. But if we just kind of get in the middle of the pack, we can sell the rest of it. It is a great place to live.
But I also think we should never strive to just be average. We should always be striving higher.
Right, but I mean in terms of, especially in
Yeah,
some
but
of those
I've heard
business
that, yeah.
indicators.
If we could
Yeah.
just be in the middle, things would be a lot better, but I think we're selling ourselves short there. We got to keep shooting higher.
Yeah, when you last pick for the team, I'll go for the middle.
Another major problem, though, with those indicators is that they're always based on states. And actually,
Right.
most business decisions about relocation are made based on metros. Where's
Yeah.
a great metro to be?
Right.
And when you look at Maine's metros, for instance, there's a lot of
Well,
disparity.
yeah, why was Utah number one? It wasn't just because of Utah.
Right.
It had to do with Salt Lake City and that whole metropolitan area.
And Portland, for instance, because its ties to the Boston economy and the southern New England economy, actually performs very well when you compare them to their peers. But that never gets recognized here in Maine.
Right. I want to move on to the next one real quickly. I want to talk a little bit about Augusta right now. Reading the tea leaves in Augusta. So what's going to happen? I'm really focusing in on the budget. And Curtis, I'm going to toss this one back to you. LePage's budget team, the makeup of it, and kind of the transition team. What does that tell us about what we should expect going in to this new administration and how they're going to deal with the budget? Where's the pain going to be felt?
I thought he did an excellent job putting together the budget team. It's a bipartisan commission. I think a lot of us that spent a lot of time in Augusta were very pleased that Selwyn Millett was chosen. If you spend any time in appropriations, you know that he asks really detailed questions. He probably knows the budget better than anybody in the state. So to have his background there, I think, is invaluable. And what Governor-elect LePage has said throughout the whole campaign was he wants to reduce the size and scope of government, and we need to reprioritize where we're spending the money. So if we have X number of dollars and we have a list of X number of things that need to be funded, we're going to fund these first until the money's gone. And I think that's a whole different way of looking and approaching the budget than what we've seen in the past. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays
See the
out.
pie shrinking, but making every slice a little bit smaller, trying to accommodate that one. Yeah. What do others think about? What do you think is going to happen? What does this tell us?
I think it's important on this one to realize I believe there is going to be a lot of pain, just as we've seen in the last few years. We're running out of ability to finance things through savings or rainy day funds or other kinds of things that are one-time savings. So the pain's going to be felt throughout the state level, regional level, and down to the local level. But this is one of those things where it's important that it's not just a government response. We've got a complete mismatch among our populace about what they're willing to pay for and what they're willing to receive, what they want to receive for services. So it's going to be a shared pain, and that's a game changer. That needs to change.
So no calorie chocolate cake. Do we have? What do you guys think? Yeah.
No, I mean, the burden is huge because we've been stumbling along with budget shortfalls for years. And the Baldacci administration has done all the easy stuff. They've refinanced debt. They've cleaned out reserve funds. They've done everything they thought they could do. They've cut positions. And it really has reached the point now where there's no easy solutions. And you are going to have to take a careful look. And so I think the LePage
Well, in fairness to
administration
Baldacci,
coming in-
at the end of the Baldacci administration, too, there was this financial crisis. It had a huge impact.
No, that's right. But
Sure,
what I'm
right.
saying is, in terms of balancing the budget, they've exhausted a lot of options, and so there aren't any easy options left.
Okay.
And so I think what LePage did is assembled a very good team, bipartisan. Ryan Lowe, who's the former budget commissioner for Baldacci, is back on the team. He's helping out.
Okay.
So I think he's assembled a very good team.
Is it $1 billion deficit or not? I mean, somebody answer that one for me.
Depends. Yes, I mean, what the budget office
Makes a nice headline.
what the budget office is projected is if we do everything the law, if the state is to do everything the law says it's supposed to do.
But that includes
then it includes the 55%. So if you're going to the 55% K-12 spending, if you take that out, that lops off $430, $40 million.